Welcome to Highly Sensitive, Happily Married, the podcast that teaches you to not only have an easier marriage as a sensitive woman, but to have one that feels more amazing by the day. Where you'll hear relatable stories, love advice that works, and coaching on how to have a marriage where feeling upset and disconnected is a thing of the past, and where instead a sense of loving connection and even fun and lightness is the norm. I'm Hannah Brooks, highly sensitive person, love expert, and marriage coach, and I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. Hello, my friends. Today we are going to talk about a long-awaited special topic, which is how to effectively invite or get your partner to actively work on improving your marriage with you. I know you've heard me talk a lot about the power that you have to make your marriage so much better, right? On your own. I talk about that a lot. And the truth is, I work with women every day who are doing just that in such beautiful ways. They're making their marriage really come to life, really be one that they love. And I hear reports like this from my clients regularly. After working with you, I'm feeling really secure and confident, calm, steady, accepted, loving, warm, a glowy gratitude. Things I would have gotten upset about with my partner, I'm not anymore. It's led to us reuniting in such a great way, feeling so connected and secure. Because of me doing this work, we're both more confident in ourselves and each other's ability to communicate honestly and deeply. We've had so much growth lately. I feel so much love, support, and deep interest from him. So truly, there's so much power in working on yourself. But this never means that you don't also invite your partner along for the journey of proactively working on himself in the relationship, right? The truth is, as I've said over and over again, that it's by doing this work on yourself in your marriage, your partner is by default naturally kind of invited or inspired to come along for this amazing ride with you. That just kind of happens naturally. Like that quote I just read from one of my clients. And your partner's so much more likely to show up with you in ways that truly contribute to the delicious well-being of you and your marriage, right? There's so much power in this. But also, please do invite your partner directly to work on specific areas of your relationship with you, if he's open to it. And part of today is going to be about how to help him be open to that invitation and take you up on it. Because of course it's so fun to have him working by your side as your teammate to improve your experience with each other, right? It's so fun having both of you being open to growth and willing to put the effort in, right? This can bring it the most fully alive. It's really what makes and keeps a marriage growing deeper and better and more fun by the day, right? And again, I'm going to reiterate this. By working on you, you do naturally inspire this in him. But it's also wonderful to be able to directly ask him and see him proactively working on, specific areas that you want to improve and that you both want to improve. And the good news is that even if your partner hasn't said so yet, or even if he hasn't acted like he wants to actively work on things with you, he may still be not only open to it, but motivated to improve things by your side with certain conditions in place, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment. In other words, he's more likely to take you up on a proactive, direct invitation to work on specific areas or the whole relationship if you're coming or if you're presenting yourself, you're coming to him in a certain way. And that's what I want to share with you in a few minutes. But first, I want to share a little bit about myself here as a story, which is that I rarely feel alone in growing my relationship, in developing and maintaining and making better and better my marriage. It's only when I fall back into a certain communication style, which always stems from certain emotional states, that tends to trigger feelings of like defensiveness, frustration, even shame in my husband. Right? That's when I start to feel more alone in my efforts to improve things. Right? Because he falls then into like his old patterns that then seem to perpetuate us being at odds. Perpetuate. That didn't come out of my mouth very clearly. Perpetuate us being at kind of odds with each other. Right? So I hear this a lot. I see this a lot with my clients. My clients tell me about this kind of thing a lot. My clients oftentimes find that their partners resist doing their part to improve things. Right? Or their husbands might say they want to, but then nothing really changes, right? I'm sure many of you can relate to that. You've asked him to do something, he said, yes, I will, and then nothing changes. So what is really going on here? And I just gave you a hint a minute ago, sharing my own experience, but I'm going to go into more depth. It can very often be traced back to how we approach our partner about improving things, or just how we approach him in general. But a man will often resist wanting to be proactively showing up with you in a lovely way, contributing and growing his capacity to be an amazing husband. He's going to resist that often because he feels blamed. Because he feels like you think it's his fault that things aren't good. Or he feels controlled. Or he feels like he can't do anything right in your eyes. Which leaves him feeling defeated, frustrated, ashamed, angry, not appreciated, not valued, not respected. And the truth is, when any of us feel such emotions, we're not likely to be motivated to change. We might want to change the things outside of us, right? That's the default. But we're not motivated to want to change our internal lives and the way we show up, right? Instead, the tendency is to shut down or get reactive and sort of try to avoid feeling the discomfort of these feelings, right? Or simply avoid the topic, the thing that we think is creating the emotions. Like, if this is him we're talking about, he might avoid you or avoid addressing anything, right? So that he doesn't have to feel so bad. It doesn't really work, but it's a normal tactic that we humans have to unsuccessfully handle our emotions, right? So if this is going on for your partner, and the truth is it likely is, if you've talked to him about how much you want him to do things differently, or if you've complained about this or that, or if you've even made requests, and he's still not doing much to improve things in your relationship, he is likely feeling blamed. He is likely feeling controlled, or like he can't do anything right in your eyes, right? So he is, in other words, likely feeling these emotions, which means he's not very likely to change, right? At least while he's having these feelings. at least while these are a predominant experience for him in your relationship, right? He's not going to try. He's not going to introspect or take a look at how he could change or where he is, contributing in a not so great way, or take a look at how he is talking to you or how he could talk to you better or interact with you better, right? He's not going to want to do that. Instead, he's going to be more likely to avoid the issues, right? Forget about it, or even get mad at you or shut down whenever you bring anything up about it. Yeah. And then, of course, and I can even like imagine seeing you like nodding your head. Those of you who have this experience, you're going to feel more alone in your efforts to make your marriage good, right? You're going to feel alone in improving things. You're going to maybe even feel alone in general, depending on how you're thinking about things, right? Even if your partner, your man, is actually totally committed to you and wants things to feel good and be good between you. And of course, he does want that deep down. Let's just be clear about that. Even if he's not exactly acting like it right now. So the question is, how can you sway the tides, right? How can you change this up and invite him in an effective way to be a more active part in the improvement of things? And the most solid answer I have for you is that you can create the best conditions first within you and then kind of in the culture between you, right? For him to want to and actually do so to help improve things with you, right? And you can communicate from that place within you. You can communicate, in other words, in a way that genuinely levels the playing field. Does not lay blame on him for things going wrong or not being the way that you'd like them to be. You can communicate in a way that genuinely shows how much responsibility you're taking for yourself and shows how much you want both of you, right, yourself and him included, to feel great in your marriage. So I'm going to be giving you in just a minute an example of how I did this around a certain issue in my husband's relationship that I wanted help improving recently. I'm going to just lay that right out for you in a few minutes here so you can really hear like the words that I used, the way that I went about doing this. But first, I want to make sure that you caught the key word that I just said. I said communicating this or communicating this in a way that genuinely, right? That word genuine. This word genuine is so key because you don't want to be communicating this from a place that's like you're a bad actor reciting your lines from a script. In other words, it's got to start from a genuine place within you and shifting things in you so you are naturally feeling ownership, power, love, respect, like I want to say like teamshipment. No, how would you say that? Unity, togetherness, right? As you are communicating to him. So another way of saying this is this means you're not emotionally rooted. You're not rooted emotionally in feelings of like resentment and anger and judgment and blame and, insecurity and kind of control. Maybe that's fear and kind of like power trippiness, if that makes sense. Again, this is about your genuine emotional state. That's what's at the bottom of this communication for this to be effective, right? Which means this is about the way you're thinking about your partner and yourself. It's about your beliefs about marriage and love and how you're thinking about, all of it. Your lovableness, how you're seeing him, right? There's so much here, and we do talk a lot about this on the podcast and all various different episodes. We've gotten into some of this. But really, once you know how to guide yourself into places inside you, like emotionally, of genuine acceptance, peace, compassion, security, safety, like connection and love and all the good stuff. And like that sense of being in this together, right? And in a place of empowerment inside of yourself, which I'm going to say that is actually what self-ownership means. And you communicate to him in general from these feeling states, your partner is going to be so much more likely to want to naturally get on board, right? You might not even need to ask for his proactive effort in improving things. He's really just likely to naturally want to put that effort in to improve things, right? This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying, like, we come from this place. He's much more naturally just going to be inspired to like love on you and be more affectionate and be so respectful and all the good things. He's going to want to learn to love you the very best that he can. But you can be even more proactive, again, and invite him proactively or request that he works on your relationship or certain aspects of it, right? From this same place emotionally inside of you, right? From these states of being that I've just been talking about. And again, this is going to be so much more effective than the old way, the way that usually leads to the opposite, where he's resisting putting effort in and wanting to improve things. Right? So there is much to learn here to really be able to steward yourself into these states and to live from this place, to show up with him in general from this place of like feeling you're in this together, from compassion and acceptance and love, safety, all of this, right? And of course, this is what I work closely with clients in depth on in many ways and over a period of time. But I do want to offer now an example of how you can communicate this invitation, right? The words you can actually say. And as I share this with you, this is actually my example from a recent time with my husband. I want you to notice the kind of emotional state. See if you can kind of identify the various emotions that I was able to, that I was in order to be able to say and mean the things that I say here. Because you'll hear, I'm going to offer you like with the words that I actually said to invite my husband to improve a certain area. So my husband and I recently decided together to up-level a certain aspect of our relationship, a certain way that we communicate that has this tendency to take us to negative places when we don't really need to be going there, right? And I got him on board helping with this. And this is how I got him on board to actively work on this with me. Well, to set the stage, it's always nice to like have these types of conversations and these invitations when you're both in a good mood in general, when like not when something bad has happened and you're trying to solve it, but like like my husband and I, for example, were out on a walk just enjoying being together. We were having a nice day in general. And I took that opportunity to bring up this thing. So first I took total ownership of my side of the issue. And this is super key, and this is often not done at all when people try to request something from their partner or have him do something differently, right? So I said to my husband, basically, like I'm summarizing, I'm not going to tell you every single word that I said, but I basically said to him, hey, I'd like to try this thing out, and this is my part. Like, I know we go to negative places sometimes, and this is my role in that. I don't deliver the way that I say things as well as I could sometimes. And I'm not going to explicate on that. He knew what I meant because we talked about this before. But I really owned my bad, right? The part that I could be responsible for in me, the parts that I wanted to improve in myself. And then I told him what my, what I call pro-love reasons are for wanting to improve it. So I told him, I want to improve this kind of unskillful way I deliver things because I love you and I love us. I love us. I love our marriage. I went on to say something like, it's hard for me to change this. Sometimes it just feels like who I am. It's so innate in me. And I also really want to do it. I want to communicate better in this way. I want us to feel even more amazing together. You deserve that. I want that for you, and I want it for myself too, and for our family. So what kind of emotions was I in when I said that? I'm going to let you figure that one out, and I'll reflect on it a little bit more later. So once he heard that, I went on to invite him to do his work too. Then I said something along these lines. I can see that maybe your area where you could improve is that you don't receive so well when I deliver my words poorly. And I use air quotes when I said receive because this is kind of a language I speak with him sometimes, like receiving and giving. I use that sometimes when I'm referring to our language, the way we speak to each other. And I went on to say, and that's the work that I see could be yours to do. And I asked, would you agree that you have some room to grow in that way? And if so, can you see a way I can support you in growing in that way? I'm really happy to help in whatever way I can. And so we talked a little bit back and forth about that. And it was a really honest and kind conversation there. And again, I'm curious if you can think of which emotions I was in when I was able to say those words to him. And then I offered how I thought it could look for us to move forward. And I said something like, here's how you could support me as I work on my delivery, if you'd like to. And I was also able to hear how I could support him. And we came up with this fun, actually little playful way, kind of a fun way of working on this together. And I tell you, like a month or I don't know how long it's been now, but things are significantly better in this specific area of our communication. So if you caught that, or if you want to re-listen, I want you to just notice how in the way that I presented all of that to him, there's not a lot of room there for him to use my words as a reason to feel frustration or defeat or shame, right? Or get real angry, right? Instead, he felt inspired and loved and motivated because of the way I showed up with him and the energy I was in and the words that I actually said from that energy, from those emotions. So I want you to see that this is a really beautiful way how that I myself was able to open the door to both of us growing together and making our marriage together even better. So I'm going to offer again, or just kind of do a little recap on some of the places you can guide yourself into, the states of being, the emotions that you want to be coming from, the frames of mind that you want to be coming from. And I know I just said states of being, emotions, and frames of mind. They're all part and parcel of the same thing, because the way we perceive, the way we're thinking, the attitude that we have, that's what's going to lead to those states and those emotions, right? The energy that we present ourselves in, the feelings that we are rooted in. Yeah. So come from, for one, wanting to be the best version of yourself, from wanting growth inside of you. And that's really the foundation for taking powerful self-responsibility or self-ownership, right? Meaning a really beautiful willingness to see where you maybe aren't as skillful or as mature or as evolved or as loving or as secure or as kind, as respectful, and all of those things, like as in integrity as you want to be, right? This is an attitude within yourself of like, I want to grow. And so I'm going to look at the places that are hard for me to look at in myself, and I'm not going to be ashamed, but I'm going to know that by looking at them and admitting them and bringing them out into the air and working on them, I can improve them. And another state of being you want to be coming from is love, right? So often we do the opposite. We're like, we're focusing on the problem. We're like something's very wrong, or like we're coming from blame and frustration, or even like entitlement, right? But we want to be coming from love, meaning let loving and feeling love within yourself be the motivator. Let loving him be the motivator. Let love for both of you and your relationship be the place you rest in, the energy you come from, the foundation you stand on. And a third state of being to come from is respect for his humanness, acceptance of his humanness, openness to an understanding of, even if you don't understand exactly what's going on for him, but like understanding his humanness, that he is a human, right? Accepting that he's a human with confusion and pain and fear, right? He has all of this kind of in his own ways, just like you, right? This is really about like having compassion for and being accepting of where he's at, and recognizing that as humans, we all have pain and confusion and fear and all this jumble of stuff that drives certain ways that we show up in the world. Being able to come from this respect and acceptance and compassion for his humanness is such an amazing space for you to be in and to speak from and to hear him from, to communicate and interact with him from. And one more, fourth state of being to come from is believing in him. So you can be on his team, so you can support him, so you can reinforce his capacity for growth, right? Kind of like you can be his cheerleader, but not in like a cheesy way, right? So you can be like cheering him on and believing in him as he's, and seeing all the good in him and the strengths that he has, and believing he has the capacity to grow in places he might not even realize that he might not believe himself that he does have the capacity, right? So believing in him is you truly supporting him in his evolution, right? Trusting him to be able to grow and change and evolve. I mean, my example, the way that I said it, expressed this in simply this. It was so simple the way I said it. It was just like, do you see a way I can support you in that growth? Do you see how embedded in that is not only like my desire to love and support him, but also my belief in his capacity to grow? To me, it was like, I remember as I was talking to him about this, it was like, yeah, of course he can grow and evolve in these ways. And the truth is, I've come from these states of being and communicated from these places many times with him over our years together. And like I said before, I just don't ever see evidence that I'm alone in making our relationship better and better. Yes, there are moments when he isn't as actively participating, but I never like look at our relationship and like, oh, I'm the only one putting anything in. Because he's been inspired to really show up and work and improve things. And I've asked him to. And he wants to because of the way I am with him. And again, so much of that is because I take responsibility for my way of interacting with him, thinking about him, feeling in general. And I communicate sensitively, right, from these states so that I can reach his ears, right? So he can really hear me, so I can really get in touch with his heart and invite him to step into being a proactive, loving ally on this growth journey of making our marriage amazing together. And I love being able to open the door for both of us to grow together so successfully. I love how amazing it feels to me to be that kind of leader of love, right? The steward of a marriage that really only deepens in its intimacy and connection and mutual support and love and fun and even passion the longer we are together. And I believe in you so much, and I know that you can do the same in your marriage. It will always start with the work you do on you. And this is why I always begin my coaching with my clients with it just being me and them, me and my one client, the one partner in the relationship, usually the woman, and the work that she does there on herself is what propels the relationship to the next level, where he's much more likely to want to proactively jump in and do the work on himself as well, so that now they're growing side by side, making things better and better and better between them. And I'm so happy to now say that I offer 2 options now for my coaching. One is simply this first option that I presented here. And the second is where you actually have your partner be part of the coaching process as well. And obviously this is going to be only for when your partner is ready, or for the partner who already is like, yes, I know that I want to work on this with you. If you love the idea of this and you know that you want to do your part and you'd love for your partner to do his part too, I invite you to hop on a consult call with me. On that call, we can work out which option is better for you now. And either way, get going to make your marriage so much better, so much more reciprocal and mutually supportive and loving, just like you want it to be. To set up your consult call, go to the link in the show notes or head over to lifeisworthloving.com and click the Work With Me tab, and the drop-down button below that says Get Started with a Call. It'll be straightforward from there. It's been so fun to talk with you today about getting your partner on board in an effective way that really works, to have him contributing to the improvement of your marriage. Please feel free to kind of use your own version of my words. But if you find that it doesn't work when you say those words, it's probably because you're like the state that you're still in isn't as conducive to him being motivated to follow through on what you're wanting and asking of him, which is just an indication of where your work is. All right, my dears, be oh so well.